Shoot,
We're live.
we're live, like just barely. I wish we would record behind the scenes. If anyone sees like we're shooting to this computer didn't work, that computer didn't work. Oh, let's get the camera out. Oh, that doesn't work. Somehow in the back of my mind, I've always got a subject so that if the guest doesn't show up, I'm like, okay, this show is going to be something totally random today.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I'm
nice.
sure we always find something.
We always find something today. So today we're on not with a high school colleague, Vamos, but with a college one this time.
Ah.
Yes, so we're going to go a few years afterwards. You get to go through my whole. And we're on with Robb Havassy. He's got an incredible life of surfing and art, and we're going to discuss that today on
A Wonderful Chaos. Hey guys.
Hello. So today, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like I feel like we've already gotten through the interview because we got him on.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's these moments when you're just looking because several technical things didn't work, and you're thinking, okay, and then finally we got it. That's the thing about going live. If we didn't do this live, then we wouldn't have to have that excitement of it maybe going all to hell.
I don't think we were excited. I think we were pretty chill.
Of course, but I mean, there's a certain fun in the can we get this to work? Maybe it won't. Robb Havassy. I've known Robb Havassy since I was 19 years old, and we were in college together. And Robb was a very interesting, unique individual. He was sort of like always there, but he had his own life. So he was kind of you couldn't quite feel like you could grasp him because he's very independent. And I think he was independent because he was always like the waves were more important than anything else. And I think all surfers I don't know, like you could ask them the time or what the weather is. Like there's no interest except for are the waves good today or not? Like that's what I know. And it's sort of fantastic for me because when Robb was there, it almost was like it was sort of life felt a bit effortless for me for when I saw him. Because he just seemed to be always at peace. And, of course, I associate that a bit more with surfers nowadays because it's like, how can life be that bad if we have a chance just to go on the water for a few hours a day and take advantage of what nature has to offer us?
So we're going to talk about surf philosophy.
I would think we'd also talk about surf philosophy, but I mean, he's got such a fascinating life because, we'll talk about, he went in, what I thought was beautiful is that he basically was walking, doing his surfing thing. And then somebody comes up from Calvin Klein and says, listen, will you be a model? So that's the kind of thing I meant, like life just sort of materialized in a weird way. And then he was a model. And then we had a mutual friend that really wanted to be a model and he never quite made it. But Robb, who kind of didn't really care, he made it. Which I thought was really funny. It was just this beautiful, everything kind of happened. And then he moves into art, which I think is fantastic.
It just feels like this is the theme of our shows recently, huh? Like
it is.
Things are just...
People stumble.
Yeah.
And then everyone's trying, not realizing that things happen by mistake and they just sort of materialize and then you move from one step to the next. And, that's kind of it.
I'm just there showing my six-pack and all of a sudden you want to be a Calvin Klein model.
That's it.
I love it.
And I mean, so what I did before we started is I said, it would be good to have a quick look on what's going on with Robb so I know. And then he's got a Wikipedia page with all these stuff on it that I said, I didn't even know he had a Wikipedia page. I think that there's like this distinguisher in life. Once you got a Wikipedia page, you kind of made it. Because that means Wikipedia only accepts you if you've done enough in your life. So that's Robb. And I mean, I've got like a list of about 10 things I want to discuss with him.
Yeah, it's...
I don't make a lot of lists, but I thought, and some of the list actually came from Ronnie. So Ronnie, who's also met Robb when we were in Costa Rica together, said, ask him about this. And I thought, oh my God, I would have never thought about that.
Beautiful.
So I'll specify which questions are from Ronnie and which are mine.
I actually already know.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, one of them isn't written. So without further ado, let's welcome him on. Robb Havassy. Happy to have you here.
All right, all the way from you guys are in Amsterdam and I'm in Costa Rica.
We're in Amsterdam. Are you
very international?
Yeah. How was it? Because I know you were in Hawaii. So how was it to get it from Hawaii into Costa Rica for you?
Oh God, what an adventure! Everybody was. I mean, as most people know, the borders are more or less closed here, and it was a gauntlet. I have a little caveat that I'm a parent of a citizen. My youngest daughter is a Tika. She was born here, so that was my one way of getting in, and getting from Hawaii after they locked things down there with the quarantine, getting back to California, and then getting to Costa Rica. I mean, it took me 2.5 months to strategize it and kind of wait till the right time. And I was dealing with, I got shut down by United. Sorry for the jiggle here.
Yeah, no worries.
Stabilize this thing. I got shut down by United at the airport. They're saying, oh, you can't come in. I'm sorry, you only citizens and residents. And I was like, well, the country has given me permission to go back, and here's their exemption. Oh, sorry, sir, we don't have that exemption. So I was going through, had a friend actually connect me with, an exec at United that made calls, and I had regional managers calling me going, here's my number, if you have a problem. So, I mean, thank you for friends
so basically you kind of weaseled your way in through your daughter who's Costa Rican by birth,
so you can surf.
Correct. Well, and that's the other thing. They had the beaches and the ocean closed here, so just like there's a really
Wow.
great fear and kind of, I think, a lack of understanding of what to actually do. So they overreact and close things like the ocean, which, doesn't make a lot of sense, when it comes down to it, especially for, aspects of trying to control a virus. There's other things that I think take precedent.
You're in Costa Rica, so you can surf, and you can't surf.
I can't. Yeah. They've just started opening up a little bit, and time. Some beaches are open all day now, and here in Tamarindo, they're still trying to keep it. I think trying to keep people out, which is horrible because the community here is decimated. The economy here is just horrible, and they've kept the borders closed, and that's most of the business here. So
I know tourism. Ronnie said that to me. She said, "What are they going to do, Andy? When we were in Costa Rica, all they lived from was tourism. If you don't have any tourism, it's similar to Amsterdam, where we actually have. We're on a small street here. There's 20 shops, and from the 26 shops have already shut. So it's really tourist places are really hit hard, of course.
Yeah, so that's the deal here. It's horrible. The pensioners and people that have money, they're doing fine. And they're just saying, hey, let's keep it closed. Yeah. Let's keep everything closed, and we're safe, we're good. And the majority of the community, is relying on the jobs coming in. So, it's crazy down here, and the economy is not going to come back for a while. Businesses are going to be shut permanently. I mean, the best businesses here are holding on for dear life right now.
Crazy.
Trying to contract and roll with this.
Yeah,
so,
and just try to do some
Costa Rica. Costa Rica it's a surreal place because it's so beautiful. You think, oh, what a neat place to weather, a pandemic or something, and instead, it's almost the opposite. They're trying to open, and they're trying to make some moves, and the surf community here and the local community is starting to use their voice. They're used to trusting. We want to trust our governments that they're going to make the right decisions for communities. So, I think we try to go with the flow, but there comes a time where desperation. Takes hold.
But before we go too far down that road, I want to transition to the joy of you. At what age are you surfing and then someone says, you got a body, I want you on my magazine? When does that happen?
I'm sure it wasn't my body, but
oh yeah, of course it was your body. You were lanky. Lanky is kind of muscular and also a bit long.
Okay.
Well, I'm a little tall, so got some cheekbones, I guess. But I was ditching high school when I was in senior, and I was down in Newport Beach surfing, and I had a deal with my parents that if I got for every A I got each term, like I got a free day to take off school. So that was pretty cool. So it was one of my free days, and I was going to be going to UCI, where I met you, my brother, and I was, got out of the water, sitting on the beach in Newport, and it was actually a scout, a photographer, and like talent scout, and he scouted for a lot of the big agencies in LA at the time, Ford LA Models, Wilhelmina, a bunch of the other ones, and so he had, he knew exactly what it took, to make it in that business and the kind of look, and he approached me and started talking me up, and I was not having it, not interested at all. In the end, he gave me his card, and year or so later, somebody was mentioned this guy, was talking about modeling. I was at UCI as a freshman and hadn't really thought that it was serious or that I could be a model or anything like that. And this gal was talking about the agencies in town and modeling, and this particular photographer, and how he's like one of the main scouts for that connects people with, like, Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, those kinds of things. And I went, that guy gave me his card, and long story short, she was like, oh, you got to call him, you got to do this. And so I did, and it just kind of went down that rabbit hole. Had some, a whole nother life, traveling.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ronnie was interested when I was coming on. She says, make sure to ask him if like he had to deal with the kind of nonsense that she would have expected with being sexually harassed and stuff in that industry.
Oh, correct. Yeah, no, it's for sure. It's guys and girls. People like to use their power if they have control. And they're looking at young, impressionable minds sometimes. And I had my line drawn in the sand. Where if I was gonna, shoot with a photographer that I knew who they were reputable, and I did Calvin Klein Obsession campaign with Bruce Weber, and Ralph Lauren with him as well. And Bruce is an amazing artist, but notorious for getting boys and girls to take their clothes off and shoot them. So I was one of those guys. I did nudes with a couple different photographers. They were all famous and well known. So you're taking your clothes off in the same way that, like, Matt Dillon did, or I don't know, other famous actors. You see their portfolios full of naked famous people at one point or another. But yeah, there's photos out there of me that I would rather stay.
I was going to say, you better not talk about it on air. Now everyone's going to be doing Google searches.
Care, Nudes, Robb Havassy.
Robb Havassy.
It's just part of the deal. I was standing, with 4 other models, 2 girls and 2 guys, doing, in a studio, full light, naked, doing Obsession campaign tries with, the full studio people there, and techs and assistants, and you just got to get it out of your head. It's part of, you're doing something. I mean, you're not sitting there doing some cheesy porn mag. You're doing something that maybe others would look at it as art, or and I was getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to do it. So a lot of the times you're telling yourself, you're like counting the dollars that you're making while you're standing there. That's just the real.
Rob, you said you met him in college, right? So you guys energetically feel very different. Like, I'm trying to figure out, how did you guys meet?
We were pledge brothers.
Brothers
in a fraternity.
Yep.
Yeah, not something I would have seen myself doing at maybe a more social school, but UCI was.
It's always hard to
social life.
And it's hard to explain it to people, because when they see fraternity, it's like, we didn't have a fraternity house. Everyone was a commuter. So if you wanted to meet people, you kind of had to join this club, right? Nowadays, they have such a bad reputation. But for me, I always had a great experience. I didn't, it's hard to, whenever I say the words, I see these faces cringe, like you were in what,
Really.
you especially.
It attracted people like us. I think our class was really amazing because it was full of people who I think in many cases wouldn't have been in a fraternity in another school. Yeah. And there was a really talented, diverse group of people in our pledge class. There was like 20 guys, and I mean, there weren't like your typical fraternity guys. They were just really talented, unique people. Andy was one of them, and I mean, my whole class just so.
Yeah, everyone is very, very, like, in a way, we were all so different, and yet
really,
we all kind of appreciated whatever uniquenesses they had, A
lot of talent in that class,
Yeah.
I love to see what everybody has done, I mean, you included, Andy, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't done half as much as you have. When we get through this show, I want to do because I'd love to transition. When do you say, I want to be an artist? Like, how does that happen?
It doesn't happen with me. It never happened with me before, when we were in college, because I wasn't doing much of anything super creatively when we were going to college or in high school. I drew when I was a kid. I've been cooking and taking photos and making little videos and since I was young, but I never did anything with them specifically. It was, I think that it was just outlets at different times. There was never like, I'm going to be an artist. That never happened. So the whole art.
But when did you pick up paint for the first time? When was like the first time you said, "Oh, there's something going on here"? When was that?
Well, so after college, 26 years old, I had just gotten back from Paris. I was doing some runway shows there in the winter time, and I was there over my birthdays in December. And I got home, and there was had a little party for my birthday, and some friends came by, and I got this this beginner's art kit, like a $20, like something you get at Crate and Barrel, a little box full of like pastels and some watercolors. I got this from a friend of mine and his girlfriend, and it was kind of a random gift. I'm like, wow, an art kit, what do I do with this, And I don't know, this guy said that he had seen something in me and the creativity. I'd helped him do a logo for his company. We were hanging out one evening, and I was feeling creative and was like, hey, let's, anyway, I don't know what specifically it was, but it was, I think, life, destiny, using a tool to start things for me. I got that kit. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, oh, thanks. Well, and it kind of just got shelved for a few months. And then there was an occasion, strange occasion to use it, which was that I was booked on a big Ralph Lauren campaign. Usually I'm flying off somewhere away from my home in Newport Beach. My girlfriend at the time, it was always hard to leave, but this was booked in LA. They put me up at the Chateau Marmont. Again, this was Bruce Weber responsible for this. He booked me on a lot of really amazing jobs, made me a lot of money, got to support a lot of my lifestyle. But his birthday coincided with this booking, and I was up at the Chateau Marmont thinking, God, I need a good birthday present for this guy. And he loves surfing. I mean, he's responsible for bringing guys like, the surfers into the whole modeling scene, which changed everything. Sean Thompson, who's a really famous surfer and a friend, legend. He shot for Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren, Buzzy Kerbox, Ted Robinson, all these surfers, Christian Fletcher, Kelly Slater. He's always been a huge fan of surfing and shot them and put them, behind the camera for a lot of these big fashion brands and whatnot. So in any case, he loves surfing, and I had this art kit, and I was up there hanging out in the middle of the night going, I should try to paint something for Bruce for a birthday present, and I had some surfing magazines with me up there. So, I mean, I basically, in the middle of the night, I had some watercolors, and I had a friend actually hanging out with me up there. Kit Natlin was going to law school at UCLA, and I took him out to the Bar Marmont, which was really hard to get in at the time. We had a night out, and he basically crashed on the floor at my overlooking the city up there in the hotel, and I was doing this little painting, a little surfing painting. And, early that morning, before I woke up, like 3 or 4 in the morning, like it was bitching, it came out rad, and I was like, wow, I just did this really cool painting. This is going to make a great birthday present. And at the end of the shoot, I gave it to Bruce, and I just said, thanks for all the love and support, and he's just like, wow, this is amazing. How long have you been painting? And I'm like, well, this is kind of like my first painting, my first, like, since I was a kid anyway. And he was like, wow, really touched. And I was like, this is kind of rad. And that was like I was 26 years old, and it changed my life. At that point, it was like, wow, I didn't know this is something different.
I mean, that's just, I love the beauty, as we talked about, like saying how your life, there's this way that I've always felt about you, that things kind of just happened. And I know it isn't easy, but it's sort of like it always from the outside appeared so effortless. It was like, oh yeah, he's just hanging. Oh, he's just going to be a model now. Oh, just, oh, he likes painting. Oh, he's going to be an artist now. It was just, there's something that from the outside that seems so amazing.
It seems really guided. I've had to kind of give up that. My college, like, I was doing a lot of sociology. I had a thesis in one of my sociology courses, and I did it on parasemiotics, which is basically looking for meaning in things that really have no definitive meaning, like looking at clouds and seeing animals, or looking, religion being one of those things for, or mythologies, where people, we're looking to find our place in life, in the world, and how we fit in. So we're always looking for things around us to make us feel like we're in the right place and that our lives have meaning. And then, so I did this. I was really logical, even though I have a kind of romantic heart, and I believe in, I like astrology and things like that. I was just really pragmatic. Oh, logic. This is, you talk about chaos, a wonderful chaos, the name of your show, but it was like things are just random and chaotic, and there is no real destiny or fate or built in that humans are always looking to find. It just doesn't make any sense logically, but over and over, life continues to just beat it down on me, and actually not beat it on me, like hug it into me, saying, there's a plan here, there's a destiny, and I've just had to have faith in that more than anything, that this plan that life has, it keeps putting me in the right place. It challenges me, it beats me up, it rolls me, which makes me appreciate all the more when things just line up, like kind of like you're saying, where I'm just like, oh my God, this is incredible. I mean, the last 3 months of my life have been like that, where there's no reason what things should have worked out, and continue to, like, doors open and things happen because I feel out of control. But it's been really beautiful, and
I think that surrender, like what you're speaking to, and the whole surrendering, I think it's one of the hardest things that one individual can allow themselves to do in their lives. And in that surrender, it feels like you give up the control. And if you give up control, what do you have in the end? Because if I can't control things, it's almost like life it goes to the chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is believing in that wonderful chaos. As I love the title of this podcast of yours, because it is so much, kind of represents the way I look at life now. There's this beauty in that, and the chaos maybe not as chaotic as we feel it is. From the outside, it has this, has alignment and connection, and a real place in time. I think it's anyway.
By the way, I'd love to show one thing, because as we were preparing, you put something on your feed today that kind of tweaked my world. Like, I didn't know this existed. So it was another thing that was like, wow, that actually happened. And I'm sure you know what it is, but I'm going to put it on just because I'd love to show this, and then we'll come back on to discuss. But this is what you put online today. Oh, I've got to go.
Take the message away.
Oh, let me see. Where am I? How did I get here? Turning things off.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
That's you. That's you. Can you imagine that?
yeah. That was wild.
It must be.
Yeah, that was one of the many, many cool things I've gotten to do. That was definitely one of the coolest.
I mean, from the outside, I just saw this and I thought, Jesus, you've got your fashion label. I mean that just kind of that's mind blowing. Like, how does that happen? How do you like, how does that happen?
That was surreal. Well, I think I've always loved, and well, actually, since modeling for sure, the fashion thing was huge. I was friends with, some of the biggest designers in the world, and got to model with them and work with all these incredible, amazing creatives. I mean, actually, that was a big inspiration for me. I think going down this path is that the modeling stuff, I was not proud of that at all. There was no resonance in being in front of a camera or being like, have people go, oh, wow, that's amazing, you're a model. I'm like, fuck, I'm you're giving me credit for the way I look. I have no say on the way I look, but thanks to my parents, this is neat to get to do this and travel around the world. But I was super interested in what was going on behind what I was representing, working with Valentino and Armani and Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren and all these photographers, and I mean, just an incredibly I had a great interest in that. Being behind the camera, I could see myself going out of modeling and being filming, being a photographer or a filmmaker. I still do. They wanted me to take acting classes and be an actor and kind of go down that road. And I just always felt myself as a documentarian behind the camera, looking and cataloging and creating. And so
but like, how do you do? That's a runway show. That's like a typical. Where is that taken? Where was that?
So that was in Guangzhou in China. I was invited to create a collection by I don't even. It was an invitation to international designers to come create a collection in China and release it there, and then release it and produce it there. I teamed up with a partner, this guy Kurt Miner, who loved what I was doing and had wanted to support this and partner with me to create a collection. I had done a bunch of T-shirts and art for a lot of the companies in and around the surf industry and beyond, and I was working on doing sandals and board shorts, and I had an interest drawing from what I had done as a model to. I knew fashion, I knew design, and so it was an opportunity to create a collection, an art-inspired collection, and bring it to China, a men's and women's collection. So, I mean, it was a decade ago almost. So, like, I can't remember exactly how that all came together. They invited a handful of designers who were already working on collections. This was kind of new for me. So I teamed up with a number of people. We brought a number of talented people in and built this collection, and
that's
it
incredible.
Was art and surf inspired. It kind of blew minds over there because it was really different than everything else that they had. I had brought a bunch of my painted surfboards, that skateboard I'd created with Sector 9, and I kind of, just like anything else, I just kind of felt my way through, and I'm super organic, and I just get inspired, and I just go, oh, I'm going to do this, as you know. I get inspired in things, and I dive into like the deep end and try to swim my way, to the side. So this was just another one of those things.
I've got another point. We have a secret that goes on behind the camera that no one knows about. Is Bambos taps my knee
like this.
He's like, Andy, I want to get in. I want to get in. No, not you. It's toward me. It's like, because he knows I'll like jump on the next word. She's like, Andy,
take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
And I was going to transition to some spirituality, and I thought, oh, good, Bambos is going to take us down this path. I'm sure.
I don't know if I'm going to take him down that path, but to me, it really feels like that the surfboard has been like your compass. Like that's been your guiding thing. Like in a way, it almost feels like an extension to your penis. in how you in how you penetrate
I
the
ride a
world.
long board,
But
not a short board.
Oh yeah, we know, we have the pictures.
Surfing,
But
surfing.
you get
Let's
what I
not
mean,
get
right?
all phallic here on both. Definitely, the ocean has been my kind of, I feel like a Moana. The sea has called me.
Yeah.
I really that being inspired by the ocean and riding waves, and whether it's on a surfboard or body surfing or just being at the ocean has been, if you want to call it, a compass for sure.
I want to follow, because following from what I thought you were going to ask, I'm going to ask as if I was Bambos. How has the experience of being so connected to the water shaped your sort of sense of the world, your spiritual path? Should there be a spiritual path? How has that been sort of a guide in that aspect of your life?
You know what? I think being a surfer, it's very solitary, and it's about your time in your relationship with nature and the ocean. And I think with the older I've gotten, the more solace I've gained from it, because of all the crazy things that happen when you become an adult and a parent, that you're looking for something that is consistent, and something that gives you joy and peace and inspiration. And I mean, I think maybe I'm getting away from your question, but all of those things are part of what being a surfer is about. A surfer is not isn't riding waves. It is being in love with the ocean and that process and the things that happen there. And
would you say that you have a different sense of the world because of your contact with the ocean? Do you feel like that carries into your life?
Yeah, I think surfers feel really fortunate, and we feel unique because of that, and that we feel special. And I don't know, title's not the word, but we feel extra cool because we have this relationship with nature and the ability to ride these waves, big or small, ride inside them. It's super intimate, and it definitely makes you feel like you know something that others don't. And when you meet people that understand or have that same passion, all you do is just get excited and you want to talk and talk story and exchange that love of this, this thing that, is inspiring to you. And it's super unique. It's super special. It definitely defines you when no matter what else you do in life, whether you're a doctor or a philosopher or, president, Dalai Lama, it's one of those things that more than anything, each one of those people would, if they were a surfer, that would be one of the ways they would identify themselves most readily. Parent, dad would be the first one. Second would probably be a surfer, then maybe an artist. I mean, I don't know, like for sure.
Can you surf when you're not in tune with yourself, or you're going through something, like you're in your head and you're feeling stressed? Can you actually grab your surfboard and go and surf? How is that for you?
Those are the best times, actually, when you're looking for some sense of meaning or balance or anything. It is, I mean, golf is another one of those funny things for me, like that, painting as well, where everything else kind of stops. And you're able to escape. Surfing not as much, because different than painting and kind of golfing, there's a lot of just sitting around between waves, and it gives you time to think or dwell. So actually that's not my ultimate escape. But it's definitely one of the places I feel closest to nature and just being alive. The ocean is so healing, another reason why it's idiotic to close it during these virus times, because it's the thing that gives us our immunity, adds to that strength and lowers stress and so.
Have you had any like really rough rides where you like
always
kind of
always teaches you how to take a beating?
Oh, really? Any times when you're fearful that you might die, that rough?
I'm not one of those guys who goes out into 20, 30, 40 foot waves But yes, absolutely, it still, you know, can beat you down pretty hard, even when it's smaller. And I've cracked the reef. I've been hit by boards and other people. I've been in scenarios where I'm like, you know, horrified for the moment, but there's a joy in that. There's, you know, especially when you get through it, you know, and it toughens you up. You know, my daughter learning how to surf. I mean, part of the biggest part of that early part is dealing with the fear and knowing that you're going to get throttled and you're going to get beat down, and just like life, you know, it's like you got to get back up. You got to get, you know, you can take a beating, you can be scared, but then pull it together, you know, refocus. And you know, more than anything, you know, it's life skills. It teaches you all those things, you know. Anyway.
I love that.
Yeah. I have another question, but I'm going to leave some space for Bambos if he would like to feed something in the meantime.
I just resonate with you. I slackline, and I love surfing this 70 meter to 30 meter line. And for me, it's like oxygen for my soul. Like there was a time in my life that I would have to really carve the time, block everyone out, and just from my house to the park, I'd be stressed. Like, get out of my way, cycling really fast, getting, and then I'm on the line with the right music.
Correct. Music. Yes.
Yeah, that really is surfing. I mean, in your way, now that I think about it, you need the same muscles to do slackline, and you're using your stomach, I'm guessing, most of the time.
Well, use your core, but your core. I've heard that a surfer that slacklines also says it's a completely different experience.
Okay. The dealing with nature and the living, the energy, these waves. I mean, the unpredictability, all the variance involved. I mean, it's like, you know, that keeps it super exciting because every moment is unique, and you know, everything that you've carried forward from, you know, all the years before is always at play. You know, I mean, it's a great metaphor for life. I mean, we're always, you know, looking for things that remind us of, you know, what it is to be alive, but finding the energy, you know, escaping, you know, catastrophe, finding, you know, balance, all those things. I mean, it's a good metaphor. I don't want to.
I've got another question. I'd like to metaphors. I want to jump to a recent activity you did. In fact, let's do that. I've got 4 questions now, but I'm going to stick with this one. So I'm going to basically share for a moment something that you recently did that for me, and I don't even know if I'm going to open it up correctly because I've got so many tabs open at the moment, but I'm going to go here and see if we can, and I'm going to show a video of something that you did recently and then discuss it.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that woke me up. I got on one of these mornings, I'm in bed and then I see a live video. So I pop open my Facebook to see what this video is about. And these live streaming the burning of this beautiful art piece. And I think that the title of it was Buy or Burn.
Is this a painting or a photograph?
It was a painting.
Wow.
It was a painting when I was stuck on Maui. We're moving to Maui in the next month or so. You know, changing life, and I was over there for a couple months during this you know, COVID lockdown. I kind of escaped right before all the quarantines hit and got over there up on Haleakala Crater to where we're going to be moving. And I was, you know, checking things out, using the time to get acquainted with the new life, and connecting with my friends and partners up there on the projects that I'll be working on, and doing a lot of really cool art. And I had this vision to do a really big piece. I've been doing these simple black and white waves, and Maui is famous for one of the things it's famous for is its wave Jaws over there, which is just, you know, this, you know, just incredible wave, gets up to, you know, 60, 70 feet. And I wanted to do this really big portrait of this wave, just the wave, no surfers, for a really big wall. I mean, I was somebody or somewhere to display it. And long story short, I ended up documenting this piece as I painted it, a time lapse of me painting this piece. And through this process of creating this, I was, at the end of it, I was just like, wow, this is really amazing. And, I shared the early photos and people were really inspired. And, as an artist, you're looking to inspire people. I mean, that's pretty much how you create your truth is, I mean, if it's true, people will come. It's kind of like if you build it, they will come, a field of dreams type thing. As an artist, if you paint something that has truth and people resonate with it, there's your life. You're doing the right thing. So, as an artist, as a painter doing, I do a lot of different things, but as a painter, it's like, the question was, how do I make this really amazing piece better? How do I raise it the level of effectiveness or whatever. So, considering everything that's happening now, everybody's realizing how quickly things can change, our realities, and being mindful of beauty and time and moment while we have it. I had lost, during this time, I lost nobody to the COVID, but I lost 4 people, friends and family, to other ailments and disease through this time. And, I was really emotional being away from my family, stuck in Costa Rica. They were there. And I was feeling a lot of this like loss and crying, and realizing that loss was really where, if you love something, losing it is where the most emotion comes from, and I had this vision of destroying this piece, or not even necessarily destroying it, but the threat of destroying it. What would that do? My degree's in psychology and sociology, and so it was kind of a sociological experiment. One, I wanted to see what it would look like, and I wanted to film it and photograph a piece that I thought was so beautiful, in a large scale piece that I could see in my mind how beautiful it would be and how dramatic the film or the photo of it would be. So I was like, gosh, I'll burn it, and what will this do? Well, I was like, gosh, I should share this. I should make my friends and my audience like a part of this process and what I'm feeling and thinking. And so I thought, what I should do is I should just, I need money, I'm stuck here. I got to send money home to the family. I got to get through this epidemic, but I can't ask what I ask a lot of money for my originals. And so I had this idea, I'll ask a really low price, which still wasn't cheap, but a really low price for such a big painting. And if I sell it, then that works. I can get home, I can send my family money, I can pay the bills. But if I don't, then I'm going to burn it, and kind of propose it out there. So I had this idea of like, it's a win-win for me. I really wanted to burn it.
And then you kept making it more expensive. Like
I didn't, but it was like, still, like I said, it wasn't cheap. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's too expensive," or "Gosh, I want it. Will you come down on the price?" And I was like, "No," because I really wanted to burn it. But I left it out there, and throughout the week, people were begging me to not burn it. What are you going to do? Can't believe you're going to do this. It's so beautiful. Let me do something. Other people seeing maybe the beauty that I saw, a lot of the artists were like, that's brilliant. Great. Oh, I can imagine it's going to be amazing. Destroying something so beautiful. So it was, in the end, it was, how do I elevate my art? And how do I make people feel more than they actually are feeling now? And at the same time, the same for myself. How do I burn one of my children? And destroy it, but I never intended on destroy it, and I didn't let people in on that little hoax, not the hoax, but that I wasn't going to just destroy it. Yeah. I'd always intended on saving it, but it was. But
I got to tell you, when I saw it, it was it took me back, of course, to Buddhism, because there's the practice of building this beautiful sand and then just wiping it away. So when I saw you doing it, I just felt this deep Buddhist connection, like, wow, you're letting go. And there's for me, it's always a reminder. So I was up watching the whole video because I'm like, just feeling into the beauty of letting go. And the fact that you didn't say it, let everyone interpret and do whatever they want to do with it. But That's what I felt a deep sense of when I watched it, of course.
That's neat. That was definitely the intention, that each person would feel differently. And I was fortunate to have so many people weigh in on it and on Instagram and Facebook to get those feelings, because I mean, there was a great debate. I had people, kind of debating amongst themselves, kind of like the stupid threads on the pandemic. But this was meaningful. This was like art and life and beauty and the meaning of the value of the moment. I mean, the idea of kind of building the sand
painting
ornamentation paintings, like in Buddhism. I mean, that was on my mind. All the things that kind of that had the same kind of feeling were running through my mind, and different conversations with different people. And I kind of just let it go. I put it out there, and I stood back, and I let other people talk about it, because in art always, it's not important what I think. It's important what the audience feels. It's that deconstruction that each person will find their own meaning in it. And there's really the power in art, I think, is that our psyche, our souls, and our minds, when we listen to a great piece of music, or see a piece of art, or read a book, that's all that matters, is that unique experience. And as artists, that's our gift, to the world, really, to inspire people or get them to think about things.
I want to transition to another big theme that's kind of random.
Yeah.
Bambos is looking at the sheet right now, because I have a list of like 10 things. So I'm wondering to myself, which one does he think I'm going to transition to?
That one.
No, wasn't it?
Really?
No, no, it was this one.
Oh.
So so there's a fascinating, you've got these little fascinating things going on in your sphere. And one of them was something I never had an experience with until I came to your house in Tamarindo. And it was...
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Tell us.
Let's see.
Yes. So I had never experienced having contact with wolves. Right.
We're going to call them down right now.
Okay. So I've never had that experience. And a wolf is not a dog. Like there's like when they're agitated with one another, like you get scared, because you're like, something can happen. But the beauty was, and I know you'll remember this because it was one of the weirder experiences in my life. I walk into the house and the dog shoves its nose right into my crotch. And I mean, shoves it and does not move it. Like the dog will not move its nose out of my crotch. So I'm sitting there talking to him for maybe a good 2 minutes, and the dog has his nose shoved very strongly right into my crotch.
Did he bite?
He didn't bite. It was very loving, but it was like very abnormal for me to have that much, like, I own this place at this moment. And that was a very unique experience for me. So how is it to have wolves in the house?
Come here. Come.
Wow.
This is Nicoya, and you didn't get to meet her. You met Oso. Oso is upstairs sleeping with my daughter, actually sleeping in our room. And this is Nicoya, and we got her after one of the wolves that you met, Kuna, had died. Patrice, I need the battery. I need this thing plugged in. Sorry, I'm gonna lose that. Oh wait, I got it. Never mind. Sorry, I got it.
Nice.
So
when you travel with these babies?
I do. Let's see. That goes up. Is that working? Let's see.
We're gonna lose it.
Yeah. No. I think it's the other way. Quick. Did you get it? Yeah. I don't know if it's working.
I love it. I already told Bambos what to expect, by the way, so you don't have to worry. I said, if he shows up on time, we're lucky. If we make it through the whole thing, then it's a miracle.
He's like, I surf people.
I love it.
Look at that face.
Isn't that face gorgeous?
So she's 2. We got her after Kuna died, right after you met, and we had we had Ripley, our second kid, and I think you were there when Patrice was pregnant, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, so the wolves, they're wolf hybrids. They're Malamute and gray and timber wolf, and we've had many generations. Say hi.
They're strong animals. They're strong animals. They're not a dog. Like, how would you describe the difference between owning a wolf and owning a dog?
That they are super independent, so you are part of their life, and you know they you know they're not always wolves please themselves. So you put mix a little bit of dog into it, so you have a wolf that wants to please you too, you know, and
Okay.
might listen to you. You know, you have to be an alpha. There has to be an alpha. They cannot be the alpha in the pack. They have to recognize somebody else who has control and authority, just because they're super smart and super curious and playful, and they like to play with things, and sometimes that includes chewing them up. And you know, fences are just like annoyances that they have to get around and under or over. You know, your meal hanging out on the table is their meal. You know,
Yeah.
and they're so you know, they have this wildness to them, this feline quality, which is just pretty incredible. Um, that you know, you felt that for sure. So
Yeah.
you have to have a lot of latitude, because the level of destruction that happens when they are feeling playful or frustrated and you're not around, um, it can be devastating. I mean, I have parts of paintings. I have my sketchbook that she chewed the whole corner off of as a puppy. Uh, Little things like that. But I mean, they're wonderful animals. I mean, you
But
really.
but you said when they're frustrated, like the kind of fangs that they'll show at like the aggravation with one another, like if you're not used to that, you're kind of sitting on the side like, wow, that's scary. You know, I don't want to be on the other side of that sort of that snarl.
Yeah, you know, and that's another thing. You know, those is the trust issue, and I had been asked to adopt a big white wolf at one point. People knew that we had like 5 generations of wolf dogs, and um, you know, I met this animal, and this animal was a puppy, a year and a half years old, but he was 130 pounds, and he was the master of his house. He was the alpha. The woman that owned him was not in control, and he was a problem. And I met him, and he was beautiful, but he was scary. Like, I knew that I didn't have control of this animal, and that he could snap, and there was an aggressive quality to it, and it comes from not having any kind of you know, there's no hierarchy, there's no alpha, there's no beta.
Yeah.
He has no parameters of how he needs to behave, and that's really important. So those teeth don't scare me. That's part of owning wolves, is there has to be someone who can control them if there is an issue, or to train them to be, you know, good. I mean, they're non-aggressive in the most part. People have that misconception about them. They're really affable, amicable animals, and affable, and friendly, and
Yeah.
smart, and feeling scared, skittish sometimes if they're insecure. But anyway, long story
But I
short.
mean, the crotch experience will stay with me the rest of my life, without a doubt.
Well, let's hope you get a chance to go beyond that.
Yeah.
The relationship can get a lot deeper, Andy. I know that it starts with the crotch sometimes.
Yeah.
Rob, do you actually take them for a walk like a normal dog? Do you feed them dog food, or do you what do you feed them?
We feed them a lot of raw chicken. You know, them getting a lot of marrow bones and things like that. They need to engage their food. You know, I mean, we give them kibble, we give them like sweet potatoes we cook for them. You know, they get all kinds of food, and we do take them on walks. We hate, I mean, that's hate leashes. You know, usually they're kind of famous running around the beach here in Tamarindo. People will all the dogs are pretty much off leash. They're all pretty well behaved, and you know, people love to take pictures with them, and they're just really beautiful to see, just running around, you know, and playing, and you know, a wolf on leash is kind of a sad sight to me.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, walking with them is amazing. You know, they'll take off after deer or animals, and you know, oh, here we go. Come here. There's one of my other creatures just waking up.
Hello.
Can you say
Hey,
hi to Andy and Ambles?
Hello.
This is Ripley. This is
Hi,
our
Ripley.
youngest. She likes to go to stay up late with Daddy and wake up late with Daddy.
Oh, wow. Have we got another surfer? Are you going to be surfing like Daddy and your sister?
Yeah.
Nice. Have you surfed yet?
You can talk to them.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, sweetie.
How old are you now?
My name is Daniel Horn Havassy Ripley.
Her name is Dagenhart Havassy Ripley. Backwards
Dagen?
somehow.
Wow, I like
my
that
wife's
name.
last name is Dagenhart, but this is Ripley Dane Havassy Dagenhart. Dagenhart Havassy. She was born in Costa Rica.
I was born in Costa Rica.
You're a Costa Rican. Is that not beautiful?
She's Tika.
I'm Tika.
She's
You're
Tika.
Tika.
Yeah, I'm a Tika cat.
I love
Our
that.
cat was named Tika as well. So, yeah, she was my ticket back home to Costa Rica. Without her, I would never have made it back here through the.
Is that not amazing how that works? That just through some random regulation, you can, if like you have a child in Costa Rica, it's a Costa Rican. You're not Costa Rican, but your child is.
And she's, so I have Nicoya, and there's my other kids. So I have 3 kids, and Marin, my oldest, is she's tromping around somewhere, starting her homeschool or something. Oso, our big white wolf, who's awesome, who is the one who had his head in your crotch. He is upstairs in the AC. Costa Rica is a little on the warm side for our furry guys.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, she wanted to come in. I don't remember what we were talking about.
It's not important. Once the kids come in, life gets to be more honest and more in the moment. Like, I don't know what we're talking about. It doesn't seem to be important anymore.
We're talking about the wolf in your crotch.
I love it. Yeah, the wolf in your crotch. Yeah, yeah. Being a dad, I mean, this is really my life. When people would ask what I do, I say I make things, and this is a collaboration with my wife, and this is my life, and why I do what I do, and everything that I'm trying to build for their lives. A legacy. These are my everything. I mean, everything else kind of falls away, and this is every day my joy, and I'm dad, making meals and cleaning, changing diapers and carrying them up every night when she's falling asleep into bed, and
you're transitioning the family to Hawaii now.
We're going to Maui. I figured that was probably the best place in the world for an artist, ocean-inspired artist, and
that's fantastic. I mean, that's a big life change. You can't underestimate this. It's not like a small, you have your roots in Costa Rica, so you're really doing a life shift on a pretty massive scale from the.
Yeah, 7 years ago, almost this last week was our anniversary. We did that to Costa Rica, and everything felt right, and all the boxes were checked for this new life. A huge move. We moved our trucks and everything. Now we're selling our trucks and downsizing as much as possible, and moving our wolves and us to Maui, up to upcountry Maui, up on the slope of Haleakala, and to create a new life, kind of come out of the shadows. I've been kind of a hermit away from
what I love, and this is something that I never want ever to end in my life, is I always feel that there's this energy where we don't know who we are in new locations. So we get so complacent with a rhythm and a pattern and wherever we're doing. And I've found the biggest life interruption is say, put yourself in a wholly another location and then see who you become there.
Correct. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Costa Rica, you say, what we become as a parent moving here had so much to do with, like, my one daughter at the time. She was 4 when we moved to Costa Rica. It was looking at my surroundings in the States and California, knowing what her life would be like, and thinking about how I could make that better. And as a parent, you're always looking for that. So moving here was a place that I loved, and I knew I was inspired and can do what I could do, but I saw it as what I could do for my daughter, and how it could allow her to grow. And oh my gosh, the way she's grown here, not only with the culture and the language, but nature and surfing and horseback riding and art and everything else. I mean, I have no regrets. I mean, it's been super challenging and super amazing, which is life, you know. And with the Maui thing, you know, it's it definitely that point at which, you know, looking at what's happening in society and certainly what's happening here with the closures of the borders and the economy and the culture here, it's changing. It's definitely, I think, the time Costa Rica is past its prime, and it's going to go through some real hardships, and it's really sad for the country and people that are here, even though it's an amazing country, and they will come out of it eventually. But I'm looking at her and my daughter's life and you know, a bigger world and what I can do for them right now. Bye, sweetie. You know, so that life, you know, going to Maui and whether coming here or Maui, I'm excited about the way it's going to change, you know, for me, but really how it's going to allow me to give them a better life. You know, I'm not a rich person financially. I'm not, you know, I don't have endless opportunities for them. So I'm down to the opportunities that I create. And, you know, like you were saying, environment where you are is, you know, paints, you know, is what paints that unique picture. And so I'm looking for a place that we can all grow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. By the way, we've come up on our hour, so I am so grateful that you came and spent it with us. We didn't talk at all about your two books, Surf Story 1, Surf Story 2, and then your new book with your daughter. What is it called? Marin's Wave?
Marin's Wave.
Marin's Wave. I mean,
yeah, my life is a broad, deep pit of stories. So I'm grateful that we had this time, and thank you for all your, you know, your attention getting me on here is super fun.
Thank you.
I don't know, maybe if you get a cancellation sometime, maybe get me back on.
We'll start on.
And now we know how to get you on.
Yeah. Love you, brother.
Have a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you, man. Great seeing you. Bye, man. Aloha. Hey, so fun. It's a whole nother world. I kind of feel like when we dig into another life, we kind of get an experience of something that's so separate from where we are and what we're doing. And yet that's, I can sort of seep my way into feeling what that life looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the same theme. I think in the wonderful chaos, calling it a wonderful chaos, I've just seen the pattern emerge in everyone we speak to now.
Or we've been inviting that kind of person, right?
Clearly. Yeah. Or in the questions we ask, of course, might even guide everything in that direction as well. But I mean, I just kind of, it's such a weird counter to what people learn is, hey, you have control over your life. You can make millions of dollars. You can have that beautiful house and beautiful wife and all beautiful car and all that.
At what cost?
At what cost as well, of course. And yet what we see over and over again, it's almost like preparation meets opportunity. And everyone has their own preparation. Like, what did they go through? And then the random thing happens, and then that takes your life. And if you just follow it, it sort of creates in ways you'd never imagine. I know with me, when I went to Vienna to work, I wanted a job. So I sent out 100 resumes, and I didn't get any. I got one response, and I cried at the interview, so I didn't get the job. It was my best moment. And then
read the book.
and then I just responded to some random advertisement. And the next thing I know, what a week later, I was the marketing director for this company that was going public.
And you had no clue. You didn't even know what marketing meant.
I didn't know what the word marketing meant. But my point being, of course, I was fighting. And instead of fighting, I just surrendered. And then all of a sudden, things just got really easy. So it's a really beautiful pattern. And seeing someone like Robb is just, it just reaffirms there's a beauty in letting life guide you in ways to what life presents you. So another great show.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we are on just the two of us. Just the two of us.
What are we doing? Stories.
We're doing stories. It's a topic you said you wanted to go into. You said, Andy, I want to do a session on
Lost in Stories.
Lost in Stories.
Yeah.
So this is your topic, and then we're gonna talk about it. What happens when we start thinking that there's repetitive stories in our heads we can't get rid of? They define us, and yet we keep telling the same stories, and they get us stuck. So we're going to discuss that tomorrow, and we thank you for joining us on
A wonderful chaos.